Cambridge IGCSE Mathematics Paper 3 May/June 2019. The total of the marks for this paper is 104, and you will fill in your candidate name. You can say your candidate name, Ariana Grandose, and your center number 44321. Here is question number 1. Write 26% as a decimal, and part A, part B, part C, part D, and part E. So that's all of question number 1. Question 1A, write 26% as a decimal. To change to a decimal, you divide by 100. So 26 divided by 100, it gives you 0.26. Part 2, write 0.48 as a fraction. Because it's 2 decimal places, you can multiply by 100 over 100, which is the same, like 100 over 100 is 1. So it's like times by 1. So 0.48 times 100 will give you 48. And this is like 48 over 1. 1 times 100 will give you 100. So it's 48 over 100 as a fraction, which you can simplify. If you divide by 4, you will get 12 over 25, or you leave it as 48 over 100. Write part B. Write down a fraction that is equivalent to 5 over 9. So you want to multiply 5 over 9 by any number. So it can be 5 over 9 times 3 over 3, 5 over 9 times 2 over 2, and that gives you 10 over 18, which is one of the answers. Equivalent. So you could have used 5 over 9, just use a symbol k over 9 times k, and that will give you another answer. Second part, the 7th odd positive number. So we can list numbers, the odd numbers: 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. And the 7th one is 13. And it is odd, and it's a positive number, 13. Part 3, a decimal number that is larger than 0.0467 but smaller than 0.0468. What I have done is added the two numbers and divide by 2. So I choose a number in the middle of them, add the two of them, divide by 2, and that gives me 0.04675. 1C, find the value of the cube root of 512. Put that in your calculator. That would give you 8. And the next one, 6 to the power 8 divided by 2 to the power 6. If you put that in your calculator, so you would use that button for the power 8, and you get 26244. 7 to the power 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power 0 is 1. Part D, find the first even multiple of 7 that is greater than 100. So it's an even number and it's a multiple of 7. So if we start say from 7 times 14, it gives us 98. 98 is less than 100. 7 times 15, it gives us 1 over 5. But 15 is an odd number. 7 times 16 is 112. And 16 is an even number. So we would use 112 as the answer. Part E, from the list, write down the irrational number. An irrational number, you cannot express it as P over Q, like that. 1 over 6 is the same as 6 to the minus 1. Square root of 10, you cannot express it as a fraction, P over Q. 8.97 times 10 to the minus 3, you can write it as 8.97 over 1,000, because the 10 to the minus 3 means divide by 1,000. And if you multiply by 100 over 100, which is the same like times by 1, this will become 8.97 times 100. It gives you 897. 1,000 times 100 will give you 100,000. So you can express that as a fraction, P over Q. Square root of 64 is 8, and you can write it as 8 over 1. So your answer is square root of 10. Because when you find the square root of 10, you cannot express it as a fraction. If you have square root of 10, you have 3.16. 3.16227766. It carries on. Question number 2, and it goes from question 2A, B, C, D, and E. You can try it first, and then you can come back and check my answers. For question number 2A, 80 students each record the name of their mathematics teacher. The number of these students taught by Mr. House and by Ms. Patel are shown in the bar chart. How many more students are taught by Ms. Patel than Mr. House? So if you go to Ms. Patel, you put a line straight at the top, you will see there are 18 students, 18 for Ms. Patel. And you go to Mr. House, you put a line straight to the top, you see there are 14. There are 14 students. So what is the difference? 18 take away 14. That gives you 4. Question 2B. 15 students are taught by Mr. Smith. Twice as many students are taught by Mrs. Brown than Mr. Jones. Use this information to complete the bar chart. This is where you have to use some algebra. So we can call Mr. Jones as X and Mrs. Brown as 2X because it says twice as many for Mrs. Jones. So if Mrs. Jones is X, Mrs. Brown is 2X. But we know Mr. Smith is 15. That's given in the question. Mr. Smith is 15. Mr. House is 14. We go from the diagram, and Mrs. Patel is 18. So we add those three together, 15 plus 14 plus 18. Or we just subtract that from 80. 80 minus 15 minus 14 minus 18, we have 33. Now we need to share that 33 between Mr. Jones and Mrs. Brown. So 2x plus x. 2x plus x, it gives you 3x. And 33 divided by 3, it gives you 11. So x is 11, and x is for Mr. Jones. But Mrs. Brown is twice that. So 2 times 11 is 22. So Mrs. Brown is 22. So when you complete the chart, Jones is 11. Mrs. Brown is 22, 2 times that. Mr. House is 14. Miss Patel is 18. And Mr. Smith is 15. I've put the bars in different colors so you can identify them. So those numbers says how many there are in each. Part C, write down the mode. You can look at it. The tallest one is Miss Brown, which is 22. That's the mode. Mode is the most common. Part D, one of these students is chosen at random. Work out the probability that this student is taught by Mr. House. So probability is given by the number of times or the number of students taught by Mr. House divided by the total number. There are 14 students taught by Mr. House, and the total number of students is 80. So it's 14 divided by 80. The second part, work out the probability that this student is not, remember, says not, taught by either Mr. House or Miss Patel. So how many students are taught by Mr. House? 14. How many for Mr. House is 14. For Miss Patel is 18. 14 plus 18 is 32. So we want 80 minus that 32. It gives you 48. So there are 48 students who are not taught by Mr. House or Miss Patel. So the probability will be 48 over 80. Part E, this information is also shown in the pie chart. Work out the sector angle for Miss Patel. So if you have the information to put it on the pie chart, what you want to do is we need to work out the angle. So we know 80 is equals to 360 degrees. So what would 18 be? Because Miss Patel is 18. So what angle would 18 be? If 80 is 360 degrees, what angle would 18 be? For Miss Patel is 18. So I use a technique called cross multiply. 80 times x is equals to 18 times 360. And I've put here on the left side the formula for cross multiply. And for most students, it will be very nice to learn this formula because you use it time and time again. Cross multiplication. A over B is equals to C over D. That means A times D, of course, is equals to B times C. And that takes it to a linear form where you can solve it. So 80 times X is equals to 18 times 360. Now to get X, the inverse of times 80 is divided by 80. So you take 80 to the right side, it becomes divided by 80. So X is 18 times 60 divided by 80, which gives you 81 degrees. So this is question number 3. 3A, 3B, 3C, 3G. You can press pause and have a go at the questions, and then you come back later and check your answers with mine. So for question 3A, Mr. Lester has a fruit and vegetable shop. Apples cost 32 cents each. Suki buys 6 apples. Work out the change Mr. Lester gives Suki when she pays with a $10 note. So it is 32 cents and she buys 6 apples. So it's 32 cents, you write it as 0.32. And so it's 0.32 times 6. That will give the total cost for what she paid for the 6 apples. And then you remove that from $10. So $10 minus 6 times 0.32 will gives you $8.08, 8.08. Part B, green grapes cost $3.10 per kilogram. Red grapes cost $2.80 per kilogram. Work out the total cost of buying 0.6 kilogram of green grapes and 3/4 kilogram of red grapes. So we want 0.6 kilograms of green grapes. So it's 0.6 times 3.1 because we want 0.6 kilogram of green grapes plus 2.8, $2.80 times 3/4 because we want 3/4 kilograms of the red grapes. Multiply those two together and multiply these two together. And that gives you 3.96. Work out the total cost, $3.96. Part C, George spends $12 on food each week. The total amount he spends on food is $75. Work out the percentage of the $75 he spends on food. So to work out the percentage, you'd get part divided by whole times 100%. And the part is 12, the whole is 75. So 12 divided by 75 times 100%, it gives you 16%. Part D, Mr. Lester buys pineapples for $1.50 each. He makes 60% profit when he sells them. Work out the selling price of the pineapple. So we want to first of all find what does 60% mean? What is 60% of $1.50? How much is that? So you will do 60 over 100 times $1.50. That tells us what 60% is. And then you add that to the original amount. So what you're doing is the original amount, the $1.50 plus the 60%. and that gives you $2.40. So that's question 3E. The table shows the number of bananas bought by the last 50 customers. Number of bananas bought, frequency. 0 bananas, 14 people. And for example, 6 bananas were bought by 10. So find the range, work out the median, calculate the mean. So you can press pause and have a go at it, and then you come back and check your answer with mine. Welcome back. The table shows the number of bananas bought by the last 50 students. So the number of bananas, I'll call it X. The frequency, I'll call it F. And then we have F times X in that column. So let's start with part 1. Find the range. Range is the highest number minus the lowest. Highest is 6. The lowest is 0. So 6 minus 0 is 6. Work out the median. The median is the middle value. And if there are 50 altogether, the median would be in the middle of those terms. So if you have 14, 14 plus 0 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21. And 21 plus 11 will go past the 25. So the middle will be in this group. So the middle would be 4. So the middle will be in there, 4. Calculate the mean. To get the mean, you want to find 0 times 14. It gives you 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 11 is 44. 5 times 8 is 40. 6 times 10 is 60. You want to add all of this column, f of x, fx. And the symbol is sum. This symbol means sum, means you add them. It's a Greek letter. It's called sigma. Sigma is that symbol there. It's a Greek letter. It means sum, means add them. So you add all of them and you get 163. Sum of F, it means add all the things in the column F. And that sum is a Greek letter, which they call it sigma. So you add all of that frequency, it gives you 50. And that is the same they told you in the question there, is 50 customers. Now the mean is the big number divided by the small number, or sum of fx divided by sum of f. So that gives you 3.26. So it's important to remember this formula. And the way I remember it is where after that the big number divided by the small number. That gives you the mean.